The Samaveda, Kanda 4, Prapathaka 5, Ardha 2, Sata 4, 5, 2, 1, Samapapamana 3 verses. Guard of all being, generating creatures, loud roared the sea as highest law commanded. Strong in the filter, on the fleecy summit, pressed from the stone, Sama hath waxen mighty. Make Vayu glad for furtherance and bounty. Cheer Varuna and Mitra, as they cleanse thee. Gladden the gods, gladden the host of Marutas. Make heaven and earth rejoice. O God, O Soma, Soma the mighty, when the water's offspring, he chose the gods, performed that great achievement. He, Pavamana, granted strength to Indra. He, Indu, generated strength in Surya. And we find that, just like what is said about the Malaika, there is reference to what we're calling God here in the same way as them. They're secondary creatures, they follow the divine command, and they don't have the choice to do otherwise, like the service that the humans do. And so the sound, so does the pouring and mixing of the soma itself cause a sound and a foam and stuff, or are we talking about the experience of it? Dasate 4522 Sama Papamana 10 verses. Here present this. Immortal God flies, like a bird upon her wings, to settle in the vats of wood, praised by the sacred bards. The god dives into waters and bestows rich gifts upon the worshipper. He, like a warrior, going forth with heroes, as he flows along, is fain to win all precious boons. This god, as he is flowing on, speeds like a car and gives his aid. He lets his voice be heard of all. This god, while flowing, is adorned, gold-colored for the spoil by men, devout and skilled in holy songs. This god, made ready with the hymn, runs swiftly through the winding ways, inviolable as he flows. A way he rushes with his stream across the regions into heaven, and roars as he is flowing on, while flowing meet for sacrifice. He hath gone up to heaven across the regions never overthrown. By generation long ago this god, engendered for the gods, flows tawny to the straining cloth. This, Lord of many holy laws, even at his birth, engendering strength, effused, flows onward in the stream. And if the connections are made, that sometimes makes a difference between continuance and otherwise. Dasate 4523 Samapapamana. Through the fine fingers with the song, this hero comes with rapid cars, going to Indra's settled place. In holy thought he ponders much for the great service of the gods, where the immortals have their seat. Men beautify him in the vats, him worthy to be beautified, him who brings forth abundant food. He is deposited and led along the consecrated path. When zealous men are urging him, he moves a vigorous steed, adorned with beauteous rays of shining gold. He who is sovereign of the streams, he brandishes his horns on high, and wets them. Bull who leads the head, doing with might heroic deeds, he over places rough to pass, bringing rich treasures, closely pressed, descends into the reservoirs, Him, even him, the golden-hued, well-armed, best giver of delight, 10 fingers urged to run his course. And one of the primary things, before we get into using other things as thieves and all that, we have our own hands. But then again, we can feel a connection when things are hands-on. Dasatya 4524, Soma Pavamana, 6 verses. This bull, this chariot, robes him in the sheep's long wool as he proceeds to war that wins 1,000 spoils. The dames of Treta with the stones urge forth this golden-colored one, Indu to Indra for his drink. He, like a falcon, settles down amid the families of men, like lover speeding to his love. This young, exhilarating juice looks downward from its place in heaven. This Soma drop that pierced the sieve, pressed for the draught, this tawny juice flows forth, intelligent, calling out unto the well-beloved place. Him here, the gold-decked, skillful, 10 cleanse carefully, who make him bright and beauteous for the gladdening draught. And sometimes it's not just that you present something, it's that you try to polish it up and whatnot. Dasatya 4525, Soma Pavamana, 5 verses. Urged by the men, the vigorous steed, lord of the mind, omniscient, flies to the long wool of the sheep. Within the filter hath he flowed, this Soma for the gods effused, entering all their essences. He shines in beauty there, this god immortal in his dwelling place, foe slayer, dearest to the gods, directed by the sisters 10. Bellowing on his way, this steer runs onward to the wooden vats. And this Pavamana, gladdening drink, within the purifying sieve, gave splendor to the sun and heaven. Unconquerable lord of speech, dwelling beside the Vasvat, he mounts up together with the sun. And there's generally this thought, at least mystically, that the mind is a further advancement than the body, really. Because one, you realize that the body is not it, and two, the mind can fill in the blanks of what you are perceiving physically. Dasatya 4526, Soma Pavamana, 6 verses. This sage, exalted by our lands, flows to the purifying sieve, scattering foes as he is cleansed, giver of strength, winner of light. For Indra and for Vayu he is poured upon the filtering cloth, and then conduct him, Soma steer, omniscient, the head of heaven, effused into the vats of wood. Longing for kine, longing for gold, hath Indu Pavamana roared, still conqueror, never overcome, to Indra in the firmament. This mighty tawny steer hath flowed, this Indu being purified, this Soma being purified, flows mightily and invincible, slayer of sinners, dear to gods. And why would it slay sinners? Is it through misuse? Or is it because it gets rid of the sin, you could say, if the proper use? Or is it that it distinguishes between the two? Dasata 4527, 6 verses. This, soma, strong effused for draught, flows to the purifying sieve, slaying the fiends, loving the gods, far-sighted, tawny-colored, he flows to the sieve intelligent, bellowing to his place of rest. This vigorous pavamana runs forth to the luminous realm of heaven. Fiend slayer through the sheep's long wool, this pavamana, up, above, on Trita's ridge, hath made the sun, together with his sisters, shine. Effused this sopa, steer, who slays Vritra, room giver, unbeguiled, hath gone as 'twere to win the spoil. Urged by the sage, upon his way, this god speeds forward to the facts. Bindu to Indra, giving boons. So you apply wisdom along the way, and then on the way back to you. It's the response. Dasata 4528, Soma Pavamana, 6 verses. The man who reads the essence stored by saints, the Pavamana hymns, tastes food completely purified, made sweet by Mataresvan's touch. Whoever reads the essence stored by saints, the Pavamana hymns, for him Sarasvati pours forth water and butter, milk and meat. Yea, for the Pavamanas flow richly. Drop fatness, bring us weal. Amrita deposited among the Brahmins, essence stored by saints. So may the Pavamana hymns bestow on us this world and that, and gratify our heroes' desires. The goddesses combine with the gods, the purifying food wherewith gods ever purify themselves. With that, in thousand currents, may the Pavamanas make us clean. The Pavamana hymns bring weal. By these man goes to paradise, and eating pure and holy food attains to immortality. And doesn't mean you live forever physically, it means that you establish yourself in the other worlds. Because it's not just, oh, if you don't do this, if you do something, then it builds you up. Something as simple as eating with spiritual consciousness. You're following the rules, you're evoking before, after, or during, even silently. Thank the ultimate divinity for giving us food and drink and allowing us to surrender to his will. Dasata 4529. Agni, 3 verses. We with great reverence have approached the youngest, who hath shone forth well kindled in his dwelling, wondrously bright between wide earth and heaven, well worshipped, looking forth in all directions. Through his great might, o'ercoming all misfortunes, praised in the house is Agna Jatapitas. May he preserve us from disgrace and trouble, both us who laud him and our wealthy princes. O Agna, thou art Varuna and Vitra. The Shishtas with their holy hymns exalt thee. With thee be most abundant. Gang of treasure, do ye preserve us evermore with blessing. And although we can't vicariously, they've done this, so it counts for us. No, but our reference to the good deeds that others do that can be beneficial in another way, our aspiring, our affirmation of what those deeds are, that type of action or non-action or whatever are. Dasata 4, 5, 2, 10, Indra, 3 verses. Indra, great in his power and might, like Parjanya, rich in rain, hath been increased by Vatsa's lauds, since Kanvas have, with lauds, made him completer of the sacrifice. Words are their own appropriate arms. When priests to magnify the Son of Holy Law present their gifts, sages with orders hymn of praise. And sometimes we do need to be led by the sage and the priest. But how are we magnifying our own spiritual law? How are we presenting our own rituals? Dasata 4, 5, 2, 11, Soma Pavamana, 3 verses. Of gold-hued Pavamana, great destroyer, radiant streams have flowed, swift streams of him whose gleams are swift, best rider of the chariot, praised with fairest praise amid beauteous ones, gold gleaming with the Marut host, penetrate Pavamana, best at winning booty, with thy rays giving the singers hero strength. Now, as much as they, instead of saying angels, say gods, why do they separate Marutas? Well, I mean, if you're using different terms for it, but then you'd want to unveil the general term. Because yeah, people worship anything. It doesn't mean that everything called a god is God, are treated as such. Dasata 4, 5, 2, 12, Soma Pavamana, 3 verses. Hence sprinkle forth the juice effused Soma, the best of sacred gifts, who, friend of man, hath run among the water streams, he hath pressed Soma out with stones, now being purified, flow hither through the fleece, invincible and more odorous. We joy in thee in waters when thou art effused, blending thee still with juice and milk, pressed out for all to see. Delighting gods into far-seeing one is mental power. And if you can't do things with more bodily acts, you speak. And if you can't do that, you think. Dasata 4, 5, 2, 13, Soma Pavamana, 3 verses. Even as a king hath Soma, red and tawny bull, hath pressed the wondrous one, hath bellowed to the kine, while purified thou passest through the filtering fleece, to seat thee hawk-like in the place that drops with oil. Parjanya is the sire of the leaf-bearing bull. On mountains, in earth's center, hath he made his home. The waters have flowed forth, the sisters to the kine. He meets the pressing stones at the beloved right. To glory goest thou, a sage with ordering skill. Like a groomed steed, thou rushest forward to the prize. Be gracious to us, Soma, driving off distress. Thou goest, clothed in butter, to a robe of state. And you presume that these things are physically present, but they can, perhaps they're, in a way, supposed to be going to the other realms. Dasata 4:5-2:14, Indra, 2 verses. Turning as 'twere to meet the sun, enjoy from Indra all good things. When he who will be born is born with power, we look to treasures as our heritage. Praise him who sends us wealth, prompt with his liberal boons. Good are the gifts that Indra gives. He is not wroth with one who satisfies his wish. He instigates his mind to give. And it's us that are limited in what we can give. And the whole born with power and value thing is indicating that we are born in the best of standing, but people, through ill beliefs or ill deeds, do otherwise, right? Dasata 4:5-2:15, Indra, 2 verses. Indra, give us security from that whereof we are afraid. Help us, O Magavan, that thy favor aid us, thus drive away foes and enemies. For thou, O liberal lord of ample bounty, art the ruler of our house and home. So Indra Magavan, thou lover of the song, we with pressed Soma call on thee. And over time, if we don't, we can come to love the songs. Dasata 4:5-2:16, 3 verses. Thou, Soma, hast a running stream, sweet-toned, most strong at sacrifice, flow bounteously, bestowing wealth. Thou most delightful, when effused, running the best of Gladner's art. Indu still conquering, ne'er subdued, do thou, poured forth by pressing stones, flow hither, uttering a roar, and bring us brightly glorious strength. And let us try to find our joy in divine service first. Dasata 4:5-2:17, Soma Pavamana, 17 verses. I mean, 17, 3 verses. In might, O Indu, with thy streams flow for the banquet of the gods. Rich and meath, Soma, in our beaker, take thy seat. Thy drops that swim in water have exalted Indra to delight. The gods have drunk thee up for immortality. Stream opulence to us. Ye drops of Soma, pressed and purified, pouring down rain from heaven in floods and finding light. Particularly when we're making something more explicitly religious, we should avoid any sort of waste whatsoever. Dasata 4:5-18, Soma Pavamana, 3 verses. Him with the fleece they purify, brown, golden hued, beloved of all, who with exhilarating juice goes forth to all the deities, whom bright with native splendor crushed between the pressing stones, a friend whom Indra dearly loves. The waters in 10 companies dip and bathe. For Vritraslang Indra, thou Soma art poured, that he may drink. And for the guerdon giving man, the hero sitting in his seat. And how might we have the experience of the soma without having imbibed opium, ephedra, marijuana, or hallucinogenic mushrooms and things like that? Dasata 45219, Soma Pavamana, 3 verses. Flow onward, Soma. Flow for mighty strength, as a strong courser, bathed to win the prize. The pressers clarify this juice of thine, the Soma for delight and lofty fame. They deck the gold-hued infant, newly born, even Soma, endue in the sieve for gods. And it's important to protect your reputation. Dasata 45220, Soma Pavamana, 3 verses. The gods have come to Indu, well descended, beatified with milk, the active crusher of the foe, even as mother cows their calf, so let our praise songs strengthen him, yea, him who winneth Indra's heart. Soma, pour blessings on our kind, pour forth the food that streams with milk, increase the sea, praiseworthy one. And if we want to win the divine heart, we should really win our own too. And that's not just, we merely think we like something, Dasata 45221, Indra, 3 verses. Hitherward they who delight. Pardon me. Excuse me. Got stopped there. Hitherward they who light the flame and straightway trim the sacred grass, whose friend is Indra ever young. Large is their fuel, march their laud. Wide is their splinter from the stake, whose friend is Indra ever young. Unquelled in fight, the hero leads his army with the warrior chiefs, whose friend is Indra ever young. Now, just because you may have endured injury or other hardship, it doesn't mean that God is not on your side. Dasata 45222, Indra, 3 verses. He who alone bestoweth wealth on mortal man, who offereth gifts, is Indra only, potent Lord, whom none resist. Whoever with Soma press draws thee away from many men, verily Indra gains thereby tremendous power. When will he trample like a weed the man who hath no gift for him? When verily will Indra hear our songs of praise? Well, God is all hearing, and Indra is, of course, like the word for God of heaven. Simply stated. Dasata 45223, Indra, 3 verses. The singers hymn thee, they who chant the psalm of praise. Art lauding thee, the Brahmins have exalted thee, O Satakratu, like a pole. When thou wast climbing ridge from ridge, he looked upon the toilsome task. Indra takes notice of that wish, and the ram hastens with his troop. Harness thy pair of strong bay steeds, long manned, whose bodies fill the girths, and Indra, Soma drinker, come to listen to our songs of praise. And if we fill the physical gaps as best we can, then the presencing becomes ever the more so.